How did this €1 billion debt team end the dominance of Real Madrid?
Barça! Visca Catalunha! Aqui é o Pedri, Ronaldo, Cubaci, Frank, Gol, Garcia, Baldi, Rashford, Queceu, Martin,
Barcelona now does not just win, they dominate the game.
Barcelona, you don't worry about them scoring goals. They've got so many players who are match winners individually and collectively as a team.
This team, in the attacking half, there is nobody better in the world. But in the attacking half, this team is unstoppable. They are the only ones that can defend against themselves.
Dynamic movement, the passing, the awareness of where the space was, I thought was absolutely outstanding.
I'd sit there with my son all day and say, watch Barcelona, awesome to watch, fantastic football team.
Leading La Liga with absolute power, firing goals continuously for 53 matches without stopping, an insane record. El Clasico is no longer just a match. It is a stage to flaunt the power of Barcelona.
Centre midfield player, Tchouameni's not getting far away from the centre-backs.
Lamine Yamal squares it. Pedri's onto it! What a stunning way to open this Copa del Rey final up! Lamine Yamal has popped a ball that's asked a question of Real Madrid, and Ferran Torres has delivered! He's been their go-to man in the Copa del Rey! And how about that tonight in the final? Short, Koundé onto it to maybe win the Copa del Rey!
And do you know what the craziest thing is? Those doing it are a squad with an average age like a college team, yet operating with the bravery of seasoned masters. Lamine Yamal, Pedri or Gavi, they play football as if they have dominated this stage. Since a previous life,
let's not get it confused, they could really dominate for the next 10 to 15 years because the stars that are there, your Gavis, your Pedris, your Lamine Yamals, your Kubazis, these are all effectively, and I mean this respectfully, kids, and they have their whole futures ahead of them. If they all want to grow together and develop this and turn Barcelona into the next wonder kids, oh my gosh, we are in for a ride.
That would be terrifying.
To the next decade, yes, we're going to be in a lot of trouble.
No pressure, no fear. And in their dictionary, there is no concept of fearing Real Madrid.
And those players are going to be really massive for the next seasons. They're going to be the future, but the present of Football Club Barcelona.
This is not a squad waiting for the day they mature. This is a machine already in gear. And the scariest thing is, their peak is still very far ahead. Just a few years ago, Barcelona stood on the brink of collapse, financially exhausted, losing their icon Lionel Messi, and facing humiliating defeats. Meanwhile, Real Madrid reigned like an immortal god with 5 Champions League titles and unbelievable comebacks. At that time, the world's belief was absolute. Real Madrid was eternal, and Barcelona was officially past its prime.
The history boys, the fantasy club champions have gone and done it. Courtesy of their magician-in-chief. Beyond remarkable. But there is a singular reason why.
But that is where they were wrong, a fatal mistake. Football always has a way of slapping every prediction in the face. When everyone was preoccupied looking at an old empire being extended, a new generation at Catalonia silently took shape, evolved, and now is not just returning, but replacing. The era of Real Madrid is not collapsing because they grew weaker, but it is being overwritten by a Barcelona that is younger, faster, and completely without limits.
You had to go through probably the best youth system in football history, La Masia.
We know exactly how they want to play. In Barcelona, in the youth academy, they show you really.
If you look at history, they were able to produce the best footballers that the world has seen.
You can see on Iniesta, on Xavi, on Busquets.
For example, we lived in La Masia.
They are here, but they feel Barca mentality.
To replicate that here is impossible. You cannot do it.
To dominate world football and having a lot of players coming from the academy, not a lot of clubs can say that.
A lot of more players from the Madrid academy end up leaving and being comfortable playing around Europe. Barcelona struggle a bit more, but the ones that make it to the first team
Forget the Barcelona of patient passes or slow tempos that you once knew. Under Hansi Flick, this team has not just transformed, they have been weaponised. The current Barcelona does not control the match through ball possession, they control it through intensity and ruthlessness. Gone are the days of safety, of back and forth, passes waiting for an opponent's mistake. Flick's Barca plays faster, more directly, and attacks at the very moment the opponent hasn't even figured out where they are on the pitch. This is not merely a change in tactics, it is an invasion of identity. If previously Barcelona made opponents weary by chasing the ball, now they make them collapse by not giving them a single second to think. Every loss of possession now becomes a death sentence. Every gap is exploited and punished in an instant. Under this frenetic pace, Barcelona no longer needs to keep the ball more to master the game. They master the game by forcing the match to operate at their own destructive tempo. Barcelona wins not because they hold superior possession, but because they have robbed the opponent of their oxygen.
Pedri buscando Lamine Yamal, la volea. De Robert Lewandowski.
Acelera Rafinha, quiere llegar Rafinha, mete la cabeza a Rafinha, mano a mano, Rafinha, pica la pelota, Rafinha, golazo.
Forget the tactics on paper mindset. To decode the current Barca, you must look at how they dismantle the opponent with restless movements. Everything starts with an attacking system designed to coerce the opposing defence. On the right wing, Lamine Yamal doesn't just play on the flank. This kid acts like a magnet, attracting all the attention, stretching the entire width of the pitch and forcing opposing defenders to abandon their cover positions, and the moment the opponent's structure shows cracks, that is when the ruthlessness begins. Rafinha, with energy like a perpetual motion engine, immediately makes penetrating off-the-ball runs, attacking directly into the newly exposed gaps. Meanwhile, Robert Lewandowski is simply an executioner at the end point. He doesn't need many touches, he doesn't need to participate in build-up play, he just needs to be there at the right time to put an end to all the opponent's efforts. In current Barca, no one stands still, no play is static. It is a cycle of continuous motion, causing even the most solid defensive systems to be pulled out of alignment to the point of shattering. However, the real brain that makes this machine run smoothly lies in the midfield. Here, we see a Pedri who plays as if he is watching the match in slow motion, holding the ball under suffocating pressure to decide the exact moment to accelerate. We see a Gavi acting as a sweeper, not just pressing, but breaking the opponent's build-up rhythm right from the halfway line with calculated aggression. And we cannot fail to mention Fermin Lopez, an extremely troublesome variable who is always ready to penetrate the box like a second striker to create an overload. Under Hansi Flick, ball possession is no longer about protecting a lead, but about pushing the game faster, more directly, and more dangerously after every touch. All those pieces are encapsulated in an extreme high-line defensive system. The current Barca plays with the defence pushed up near the halfway line, combined with a 5-second pressing rule. Win the ball back immediately, or commit a foul to stop a counter-attack. They don't play according to the match's developments. They are imposing a script on the opponent. You want to play football? Barca will not give you time to think. You want to counter-attack? You will face an offside trap set with the precision of a Swiss watch. The current Barcelona is no longer a collection of individual names. They have become a complete machine, where every link operates for the collective. This strength was actually moulded from the cradle of La Masia, a place that doesn't just teach football, but implants a DNA of identity into the player's blood. Those very roots paved the way for the emergence of a new generation. Faces who are only 23 or 24 years old, but play with incredible resilience. They take to the field without carrying the fear or the ghosts of past failures. For these young legs, the pressure of big matches is simply a natural playground. But for those explosive charges to truly detonate, they needed a detonator named Hansi Flick. He brought not only iron discipline, but was also the one to dismantle every psychological barrier, turning raw potential into heavy weaponry within a tight system. All those factors, from identity and youth to Flick's moulding hands, converge at a single point. A new football philosophy where victory is an obvious outcome, not something that must be searched for. But playing with fire always carries the risk of getting burned, and the price of this dominance is extremely clear. When you push your formation so high, you are betting on a life or death gamble. Just one precise long ball, exploiting the high defensive line, or the front line pressing rhythm being off by a single beat. and the entire system stands on the brink of collapse in an instant. Reality in the Champions League has proven it. Barca does not lose because they are inferior in skill, but because of tiny errors at the 100-degree limit. One moment of lost concentration, one misplaced pass in the middle of the field, and that entire perfect structure can shatter in seconds. That is the dark side of a system that always chooses to live on the edge of a blade.
Letty hit back. The ball's in. Oh my word! Oh my God! That is incredible! That is astonishing! They hit back! And Letty! It's over! Barcelona needed a miracle! Atletico made sure it never came!
Standing before that thin line between genius and disaster, Hansi Flick made a landmark decision. He did not step back to seek safety or compromise with risk. On the contrary, he chose to go all in. Flick kept the high defensive line intact, but intensified training so that players could press at a frenzied level for the full 90 minutes. He placed absolute faith in the younger generation, those who do not know fear and possess the physical capacity to maintain that suffocation. Barcelona transformed from a collective vulnerable to errors into a strangling machine. They understood that the best way to protect a high line is not to retreat, but to attack even harder so that the opponent never has enough space or time to execute a long pass. They don't win because they hold more possession. They win because they don't give the opponent the chance to exploit any weakness.
A reverse ball for Rafinha. Lewandowski!
However, it is precisely this absolute dominance that is splitting fans into two fiercely opposing sides. One side believes that Barca is the future of modern football, a youthful, collective, perfectly programmed to dominate for the next decade. To them, what we are seeing is not just a winning streak, but the first brick of a new empire. But on the other side, people see a high-stakes gamble. That breathtakingly high-line style of play is always a double-edged sword against lightning-fast counter-attacks. High intensity means they are draining their physical limits through every match. And remember, the true test named the Champions League is still there, where with just the smallest error, the price to pay will be collapse. Only 3 years ago, Barcelona stood right on the edge of the abyss. Financial crises loomed, the greatest icon left, and on the pitch, they were but a shadow of their former selves. At that time, everyone believed Barca would take decades to recover, if not vanish from the map of giants forever. But look at the current reality. Barca has not only returned, they are heading straight for the top spot, with a core of faces only in their early 20s. They are playing like the most seasoned warriors. They have turned themselves into the most watchable team in Europe, not just through wins, but by crushing opponents with speed and absolute dominance. And this is only the starting line. If this trajectory holds, imagine 3 to 5 years from now, when these young legs reach their prime, when Hansi Flick's system reaches perfection and finances stabilise again. That will be the time when Barca is no longer competing. They will be dominating. So do not mistake this for the self-weakening of Real Madrid. No era ends on its own. It is being systematically replaced, step by step, by a new and ambitious force, a younger Barcelona, faster, bolder, and most importantly, a Barcelona completely different from any version we have ever seen before. If you enjoy our video, don't forget to hit like to help this video reach to other football lovers, and hit the subscribe button to follow for more interesting videos about football stories. See you in the next video.